It's funny, you know how a single snowstorm can expose everything a town tries to hide, and how a man running from his past can find himself back in the very heart of it, holding someone else's world in his hands. Let me back up a sec because the day everything changed for DR. Elijah Brooks started out as nothing more than another battle with the elements him up on his sagging old roof, fighting to keep the cold out for his daughter, not looking for trouble, not expecting redemption. But life doesn't care much about what we expect, does it? So picture this. The wind's howling, sharp as a fresh razor, cutting through Pine Hollow's empty streets. The kind of cold that makes your teeth hurt. Elijah, tall, dark-skinned, hands steady from years of surgery and heartbreak, is fixing a broken panel with nothing but a hammer, some bent nails, and pure stubbornness. All around him, houses sag and shudder under the weight of the sky, roofs patched and repatched, heat leaking out faster than hope. And Thena, flash of movement. Down by the garages, a little kid, maybe 6 or 7, coat half open, no hat, stumbling through the snow like he's running from something nobody else can see. Elijah's heart skips. He's seen that kind of panic before, too many times in the ER, and he drops the hammer, climbs down, crunches through the snow to meet the boy Tyler. As it turns out, who can barely get the words out, "My mom, she's hurt." The car crashed. She won't wake up. Now, Elijah could have told himself to stay safe, close the door, keep his own kid warm. Nobody would have blamed him. But that's never been who he is, no matter how much the world's tried to beat it out of him. He gets the boy inside, wraps him in a blanket, hands shaking just a bit, not from fear, but from the 1,000 ways a simple choice can change everything. The house is quiet, the fire low, his daughter upstairs still asleep, and the snow outside swallowing every sound. Tyler's shivering, eyes wide, clutching a mug of cocoa like it's a life raft. Elijah coaxes the story-out car slid off the road, slammed into a tree, his mom trapped inside. Out there, somewhere, a woman's bleeding and freezing, and there's no one else to go. Elijah grabs his first aid kit, the one he never really put away even after everything, and tells Tyler to stay put. "You're safe here," he says, like it's a promise he can keep. He steps out into the storm, the wind nearly knocking him sideways, the snow coming down so heavy it feels like the whole world's disappearing. Every step's of fight boots punching through drifts, coat snapping behind him, breath fogging up his scarf. The road's gone, the trees just black lines against the shifting white. Still, he pushes on, following Tyler's directions, heart pounding out a rhythm of fear and hope. He finds the wreck by a pine tree. SUV caved in, glass frosted over. He calls out, gets nothing back but silence and the sound of the wind screaming. With nothing left to lose, he kicks in the side window, showers himself in glass, and reaches in for the woman Jasmine Whitehead, though he doesn't know her name, yet head bleeding, barely breathing. 5 minutes, maybe less, he thinks, and hauls her out, cradling her against his chest, every muscle burning with the weight of her and something heavier in memory of all the people he couldn't save. Dragging her back through the snow is pure agony. He has to stop every few yards, shifting her weight, whispering, "Hold on, just hold on," to her, to himself, to the world. By the time he crashes through his own door, Tyler's there, eyes wide, hope raw in his face. Elijah lays Jasmine on the couch, starts working fast pulse, bandages, pressure hands moving with an old confidence he thought he'd lost when he left his old life behind. Outside, the blizzard rages. Inside, time stretches fragile and uncertain. Jasmine's breathing steadies, but she doesn't wake. Tyler barely lets go of her hand, falling asleep next to her on the worn-out couch. Elijah watches them, exhaustion threatening to drown him, old memories clawing up from the dark how he'd once been chief of surgery at St. James, how a single mistake, or the rumor of one, had cost him everything. You know what I mean? It's never about what really happened. It's about who needs a scapegoat. Finally, Jasmine stirs. First a twitch, then a slow, confused awakening, her eyes finding Tyler, her hand reaching out. Relief floods the room, so sharp it nearly hurts. Then she sees Elijah, recognition dawning slow and wary. "You're Elijah Brooks," she says, her voice both grateful and cautious. She remembers the headlines, the scandal, the whispers how his name got dragged through the mud after a patient with friends in high places died on his table. No trial, no second chance, just a convenient target. Elijah doesn't dodge. He tells her the truth, how he did everything he could, how the system needed someone to blame, how he lost his license, his reputation, everything except the one thing that still mattered, the chance to help where nobody else would. Jasmine listens, something shifting in her eyes from suspicion to understanding. "You saved my life tonight," she says quietly. Elijah shrugs. "That's what I do. Or try to." When the snow finally melts, Jasmine's back in the city, restless, replaying the story in her head. She can't let it go. She starts digging old case files, news clippings, whispered conversations with her cousin who was on the hospital board. It doesn't add up. The more she learns, the clearer it becomes. Elijah was railroaded, his career destroyed not by failure, but by politics and prejudice. And Jasmine Whitehead isn't the kind of woman to let that stand. She hires a private investigator, uncovers buried evidence, twisted statements, suppressed truths. A nurse admits, off the record, that she was pressured to lie. The media starts to whisper, then to shout. The case is reopened, and Elijah's name is cleared not just in the eyes of the law, but the whole town and the world beyond it. Jasmine drives back to Pine Hollow, this time in a sharp suit, determination in her eyes. She finds Elijah outside the clinic, fixing a fence post. She hands him the letter, clearing his name, watches as relief and disbelief fight for space on his face. She offers him a job chief of medicine at her new center or her personal physician, 6-figure salary, the works. But Elijah just smiles, shakes his head. "These folks need me. I belong here." Jasmine doesn't argue. Instead, she asks to see what he's built, a small, battered clinic held together with duct tape and faith, but alive with hope. She calls her team on the spot, sets up funding for a new center, puts his name on the door, right next to hers. That's how, a few months later, the Brooks Community Health Center opens under a bright spring sun. Fresh paint gleaming, stocked shelves, laughter ringing through the halls. On opening day, Jasmine and Tyler are there, walking through the doors alongside half the town. Elijah greets each patient by name, pride and gratitude written plain on his face. Jasmine pulls him into a hug. "You gave more than anyone ever asked. Now let's give them more than they ever dreamed." Later, as dusk settles, the two of them sit on the bench outside, watching the clinic lights shine into the dark. Jasmine says softly, "People like you don't fade. You multiply." Elijah laughs, that deep, rumbling laugh that carries hope. He glances back at the clinic, at the families gathering inside, at Tyler waving from the window. "You know what?" he says, "Maybe that's the whole point. And maybe it is. Because sometimes justice doesn't show up in a courtroom. Sometimes it sneaks in on the back of a blizzard, carried by a man who refused to stop healing, and a woman who decided that the right thing wasn't someone else's problem." Years from now, every kid in Pine Hollow will know how to save a life, and every one of them will know the name Elijah Brooks, not because he lost everything, but because he gave it all back. So what do you think, folks? Was it justice, luck, or just one good person refusing to give up? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell us what you'd do if your whole world depended on a stranger's kindness. And if you believe, even in the worst storms, that the right thing still matters.